Hello, you creative bunch, thanks for stopping by. Today I wanted to look at this character that I drew quite some time ago actually. I draw constantly and I have lots of different things that are kind of like ideas and things that aren't finished. And I've actually got a folder on my Mac where there's things that aren't finished. And sometimes if I want a bit of inspiration, I'll pop in there to see what's in there and have a play around with an image to see where it goes. So I always loved this drawing of this face. I messed around with it a little bit at the time, like I said, and then it's just sat in a folder for the longest time. And I was looking through that folder the other day and I saw this character and thought, you know, it's time to do something with you. So I fished it out, put it in Photoshop. Then I had the idea to split the face and make 3 different characters out of it. And this is kind of where the journey went. So yeah, it's called the Demi Frère trio, and this is how it came together. So this is the character right here. I've scanned him and cleaned the image up. If you'd like to know how I clean my images up after scanning a drawing in, you can check out the video above just there. I'll show you my process of cleaning images up. So I just added some texture and I put a bit of colour in, but then I decided that I was just going to flip the face over and make 3 different faces. So I'd have the master face and then 2 separate faces that I've made out of each side of the original face. So this was a real unthought about background, but I just chucked it in for the time being, just to give it a bit of atmosphere. And from here, I'm just making sure that it's all tickety-boo. Initially, what I just wanted to do was make sure that the characters were wonderfully different from one another, even though they're made out of the same face. So obviously here I'm just adding detail and texture and character and sort of losing that similarity, if you like, in the facial features. So lots of hatching lines. Just making decisions about how each one of these characters are going to look. Just generally adding more texture as I go along. And as you can see, they're starting to look a little bit different from each other, even though they've got that same sort of mad gaze, that stare looking straight out the canvas. And just put in little graphic incidents and bits and pieces in the image. One of the things I will say, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but I always put these three lots of 3 dots in the image somewhere. Now, the number 333 is a number that occurs quite a lot in my life for one reason or another. It seems to pop up. So I started to incorporate it into my images quite a long time ago. So if you look at a lot of my artwork, you'll find the number 333 referenced somehow, either literally the numbers in there somewhere, or representation of the number 333 by 3 lots of 3 dots somewhere. It's quite interesting to have a look for them in the imagery that I produce. So now just what I'm doing is adding sort of more shade and texture to the faces to give them a bit more depth and detail. So I add in a lot of mid-tones and shadows and a bit more colour, just so that you're sort of making a bit more separation from each of the faces, so they've got almost like a distinct character. And then I decided that the middle one, we needed a hat. So I made him this small pom-pom hat and dropped that into the image. And then I wanted to tie them together, so it kind of amused me just to sort of put a pole going through their ears, just so that they were joined. So using separate layers and layer masks, just adding these bits of graphics in now. And then of course, as soon as I'd done this, I decided that I wanted the canvas to be a bit bigger. So then I had to go in and extend that pole that goes through their ears. But because I used layer masks, it was just a case of stretching it out and then painting in the texture afterwards. It was all there. I just needed to mess with it to bring it together. So it didn't take too long, really. And I quite like how it joins them. They all look a bit mad anyway, so it looks like, I don't know. The fact that a pole's running through their heads just kind of amused me. Back into Procreate from Photoshop, and just wanted to sort of have a look at sort of what best background was going to work. I quite like those three colours, those strong colours, the pink, the blue and the green, and I put this strong yellow in the background. And then I took it back into Photoshop and I was using these textures. I've got a big folder of textures that I use quite a lot. I do a lot of scanned textures and use them through the imagery that I build. And it just adds a little bit more depth to the characters and the way that I design the characters, a bit more texture. Messing around with colour balances here, just trying to make a bit more sense of the colour, make it punch a little bit. I struggled with this. I didn't like what I did with the black, so I kind of lost it in the eyebrows a little bit, so it just took some playing around with before I got it to a place that I really liked. And I always like adding graphic detail, so I call them incidences, or graphic incidences, just to sort of just put a bit of interest into the canvas. Quite like noughts and crosses. I like the simplicity of the game noughts and crosses that people kind of play, and it seems to be a recurring thing that happens in a lot of my images, noughts and crosses, certainly the crosses. I got rid of that yellow background because I wanted, I just thought it wasn't working with the faces. It was getting lost, the faces were getting lost in it somehow, so I just took it out and changed it out for white, and then dropped this blue in the background, and then I'm just tying the colour texture in the background together a little bit to make more sense, so it draws you into the centre of the image, rather than just kind of being kind of a little bit unthought about. I drew some little incidences on paper, scanned them in and just dropped them into the canvas, and I coloured a few of them here, as you can see. So gradually this canvas is coming together. It's at a place now that I'm quite pleased with. So it's just about finishing off, making sure everything is just as it should be in my head. dropping some colour into some of those graphics that I've dropped in the canvas. Just using the colours that are already there, so mixing it up really. And then I put this vignette, so it's just a layer, normal layer, blur. And then with a half-tone brush, just took out some of that vignette. And then took the opacity right down so you could barely see it. You can see with that, it just draws the eye more central to the canvas. Just dropping a bit more colour in here and there. And getting it to a place where I can call it finished. So if I pop that vignette back in, there we are, quite happy with that. Finally, some last bits of texture detail, and there's the finished canvas, there's the finished image. I'm quite happy with this. These mad boys with these bizarre staring eyes. Good fun to do. I'm happy with the end result. Yep, the Demi Frère trio. Thanks for stopping by, really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give us a like, give us a comment, hit the bell for updates, and certainly subscribe if you haven't done already. That'd be superb. It'd be good to have you on board. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.